The X-45 Heartbreaker. Once known as the Love Rocket, this mount's new name is far more accurate. It does break my heart every single year. According to a comment on Wowhead, this mount's original drop rate has been calculated as 1 in 3,333, or a 0.03% chance to drop. Whether that exact maths is correct or not, it has a reputation for being one of the most difficult mounts in the game to obtain, even now after some changes, largely because not only is it so rare, but since it's a holiday mount, players only have 2 weeks out of every year to try for it. Since characters have only one chance a day at looting the heart-shaped box that can contain this mount, it's become something of a tradition among World of Warcraft's mount collectors to spend their February running as many alts as they possibly can through Love is in the Air's dungeon in an attempt to finally land what has become for many of us their white or pink whale. And before you rush off to the comments to go, you know, I'm never lucky, but this mount dropped for me on my first try of the day. I can't believe it. First of all, happy for you and congrats. But also, no, you're lucky, but you're not that lucky. What you've experienced there is Blizzard's solution to the mind-numbingly low drop rate problem. In February 2022, in response to a forum post titled "The Love Rocket Mount Never Drops," a blue post by a WoW developer agreed that the experience wasn't fun. Right now, if you want to maximize your chance of getting the mount, it's in your best interest to repeat this event every day on as many characters as possible. That's mathematically correct, but not a great experience. The blue post promised that the WoW team had heard the community, and while there would be no changes in time for 2022's Love is in the Air event, solutions were being discussed not only for the Heartbreaker, but for rare holiday collectibles in general. Players seemed excited, suggesting the daily lockout on the dungeon per character be removed or that the rocket be added to vendors for a really high token price, generally wanting some guaranteed way to work on the rocket until you get it, rather than relying so much on pure RNG. In February 2023, the solution was announced. The X-45 Heartbreaker's drop rate would be massively increased on the first attempt per Battle.net account every day. Any attempts on any other characters for the rest of the day, and the drop rate goes down to the old, nearly impossible, low chance of before. From now on, the first heart-shaped box you receive every day across your Battle.net account will have a greatly increased chance to contain the X-45 Heartbreaker mount. Any subsequent heart-shaped boxes you earn on your characters after the first each day will drop the mount at the previous original rate. Subsequent analysis by Wowhead has worked out the drop rate has been increased to about 1% per attempt, or the equivalent of running the event on 30 characters every day. And for a lot of people, this solution has been just fine. The mount is still rare, but if you really want it and you keep trying just by running the dungeon once a day during the event every year, you'll eventually get it. Increasing the drop chance for the first run every day removes the pressure to keep running on alts. People can have fun with the event again. Everyone's happy, right? No, obviously not. That's not how World of Warcraft collectors work at all. If you tell me I have a 1% chance at a mount when I open a box, but I have another 1% chance if I open the box on 30 additional characters, I'm gonna keep trying for that mount on every alt I have. This solution was really quite remarkable. Not only did it fail to stop the problem of feeling pressured to run the dungeon on as many alts as possible and how that's not fun, it actually made it worse. Because now, if you aren't lucky on your first attempt of the day, every attempt after that feels even worse than it did before, because you're fully aware that the chances are now much, much lower. If you run the dungeon only once per day per event, and you don't get the mount, you may regret the fact that you didn't run the dungeon on as many alts as possible as well. After all, even a small chance is better than no chance at all, right? If you do end up running the dungeon across an army of alts every day and you still don't get the mount, well then, that feels even worse. And to rub salt in the wounds, you will be surrounded by a lot more people who got the mount basically without even trying. This solution didn't end up deterring hardcore collectors from trying for the mount the old unfun way, it just made sure the whole experience felt even worse. Except of course for people who did actually get the mount, and I am so happy for them, really. There's also this weird situation where a lot of people who don't even want the mount have it, while players who want it so much they're throwing dozens of characters at it daily are stuck on thousands of attempts with nothing to show for it. Imagine if Mythic raiding gear had almost as much chance to drop for someone running follower dungeons as someone taking the time and effort to do Mythic raiding. That would be weird, right? Blizzard's attitude towards collectors can sometimes be weird. All that said, I do kind of understand what Blizzard's attempting here. They do want players to engage with the holiday dungeon, so they reward that. They don't want players mindlessly throwing ults at the dungeon, so they kind of punish that. At the end of the day, no one's holding a gun to our collective heads forcing us to do something we don't enjoy doing for a slightly higher chance at a few pixels in a video game. While RNG and FOMO can be designed practically in a lab to keep players engaged with the game, at the end of the day it's up to the players to make decisions about how they play. In this case, the game itself is trying to say very clearly, don't do this thing you don't want to do. We don't want you to do it either. For the love of God, stop it. Stop it! And I acknowledge that. I still really want that pink rocket though. And I do have all these ults. Maybe just one more try. Blizzard themselves seem to have realized for as long as there's a chance at the mount, no matter how small, players will keep going for it. And that their solution of first chance at the rare thing per day per account wasn't really as popular an idea as they hoped. In Midsummer 2024, they announced a new change to holiday mounts in general. We're changing the way the loot system for the holiday boss drops work. We have increased drop rate significantly for the first boss kill on a single account. Only the first attempt on a single Battle.net account will be eligible to receive the item drop, however. For each subsequent daily attempt on the boss with a single Battle.net account, the chance for the item to drop will increase and continues to accumulate for each failed attempt. This change will allow players to spend less time working to earn a specific dropped item while providing an increasing opportunity to get that item during the holiday. In other words, only try for the items once a day. Don't keep running ults. It won't even work, so stop trying. Just keep trying for the items once a day and your luck will keep increasing. You will eventually get it, so stop stressing. And that's a fantastic change. Much better. Except, by 2024 Hallows Eve, it became clear that it was still possible for the Horseman's Reigns to at least drop on ults, at the previous much lower rate, but it was still there. So, if it wasn't included in the rules that said it wouldn't drop after the first attempt every day, did this mean the drop rate wouldn't increase every day either? In another surprising twist, the loot-filled pumpkin, the epic quality container that has a chance to drop from the mount, no longer required characters be level 60 to obtain. Players even reported getting the mount on freshly made level 10s. Fast forward to today, February 2025. Blizzard have introduced a new holiday mount for lovers in the air, the Love Witch's Sweeper, a pink version of the flying broom that we've been getting in pretty much every color lately. Like the X45 Heartbreaker, this mount has a chance to drop from the heart-shaped box. We don't know the drop rate for this one yet. When the relatively new Noble Garden Flying Carpet was introduced, the drop rate was 1%, but that was massively unpopular, so they increased it in general and massively increased the chance for it to drop the first time every day. I got the broom mount on the second day, and I've seen a lot of them flying around, so based on anecdotal evidence alone, I'm going to assume the drop rate isn't that terrible, but you know, it's easy for me to say. I have it. The point is, this particular mount really can only be looted from the heart-shaped box during the first kill of every day. What's more, the box has a new description. Contains love tokens with a chance of other prizes. The first of these earned by your warband every day has a chance to include rare rewards. This has caused some confusion. Mounts aren't the only thing that have a chance to drop from the heart-shaped box. There's also a dragon customization manuscript, transmog items, a pet, and a toy. As far as anyone's aware, the manuscript, like the broom, can only drop from the first box looted per account per day. These are also the two newest items to be added to the event. The transmog items, pet and toy, can still drop from later boxes. I've seen them all. As for the X45 Heartbreaker, well, that very quickly became the question. On the WoW forum, Reddit, and related Wowhead pages, players began to ask, Has anyone seen the mount drop on an alt? And on that note, has anyone seen the mount drop on a low-level alt? Because like the loot-filled pumpkin, the epic quality heart-shaped box, the item that drops the mount, seemed to be dropping for characters as low as level 10 now. Players also started reporting different answers they'd received from GMs. One said the mount can only drop from the first box. Another said the Heartbreaker has a higher chance to drop from the first box, but after that your chances go down. A third said, we don't know. Players themselves began to argue the subject, with some saying it couldn't be any clearer. Here's a forum post stating very openly that the first chance is boosted, but after that you do still have a chance, so obviously that's how it works. And others saying, look, it couldn't be any clearer. The tooltip itself says you only have a chance to get the mount in the first box per warband a day, and a warband means a whole battle.net account, so obviously that's how it works. Meanwhile, I ran the dungeon on all 41 of my 70 and above alts, and on the second day a few times on my lower level alts just in case, but still never saw it. By the third day, a blue post on the forum stated at first that yes, as far as they know it works the way it was before, massively boosted chance on the first attempt of the day, and after that back to the old rate. But then they updated the post to clarify that they can't provide any new information, only what has already been stated, and to add rather testily that customer support shouldn't be used as a source of truth for drop rates anyway, so please stop asking. Either way, by then enough reports were trickling in to confirm that yes, while the Brim does definitely seem to only be able to drop on your first attempt per account, it does look like the X45 Heartbreaker does still have the older extremely low drop chance for every character after that. And it does seem to drop for characters as low as level 10. So if you really want to, you can just keep making ults for a chance at this mount. By the fourth day, another blue post was up, finally confirming what players had already mostly worked out. Legacy drops such as the X45 Heartbreaker have a much higher chance to drop on your first attempt of the day per account. There is a very small chance to receive legacy drops on subsequent attempts made the same day. New drops such as the Love Witch's Sweeper can only drop on your first attempt of the day per account, and you will see an increasing chance to drop with every new day that a first attempt is completed. Players have also noticed that the first kill per account can be a little hard for Blizzard to track. If you have a strong enough character and are able to multi-box with 5 different World of Warcraft accounts, which is different from having multiple Battle.net accounts, you can make your own group using 4 level 10 characters from trial accounts and 1 main character that you use to solo the boss. Since all 5 characters will get the box at the same time, they all seem to count as the first box per account. While multi-boxing is allowed, this feels exploitative. So if you do try it out, be warned that you're doing so at your own risk. But it's a way that players are trying to guarantee themselves 75 chances at the Brim and 75 booster chances at the Rocket instead of the standard 15. It's also the sort of practice that convinces Blizzard themselves to take action, such as a ban wave or even just restricting the epic quality heart-shaped boxes to higher levels again. It's also a bit of a self-made problem for Blizzard. The fact is, collectors want some sort of way to improve their chances at getting the item they want. And why not? An item isn't just desirable because it's rare, it's desirable because it takes effort or skill to obtain, or both. In the same way that players might spend time theory crafting, researching their class, studying raid guides, or learning the best dungeon routes, collectors spend time researching the best way to obtain the items they want. Blizzard's approach of simply raising everyone's standard luck while also trying to make it harder or even impossible for anyone who wants to put a bit more effort in is a case of working against players instead of with them. And when that happens, players almost always tend to find a way anyway. But hold on, you're saying, didn't Blizzard already solve this problem? They introduced bad luck protection for holiday items that reward players for the effort they put in. For each subsequent daily attempt on the boss with a single Battle.net account, the chance for the item to drop will increase and continues to accumulate for each failed attempt. If it's true that the drop chance for the desired item increases with every attempt, as Blizzard claimed in the Midsummer post, then players really don't need to go to such ridiculous lengths to chase these mounts. If we just run the dungeon once a day during the event every year, sooner or later the mount will drop. But there's the problem, Blizzard claims. Since the announcement, players didn't know for sure that this bad luck protection even existed for the item they were after. Now we do. The bad luck protection is for new items, but there's no such thing in place for legacy items, apart from the whole boosted first chance per day thing. And even in the case of new items, players still can't see it happening. Not really. They also can't know how much the drop chance increases. Is it enough to guarantee 100% by the end of the event? There's no sense of control over the situation, only vague promises, and collectors who have been chasing a mount for 20 years can't pin their hopes on vague. This is why some players are trying to guarantee themselves 75 attempts at the brim instead of 15, even though so far the brim does seem like it's not going to be that hard to obtain, even though the drop rate is supposed to increase for them daily. They don't see the daily increase, they don't trust in the daily increase, they don't even really believe it's there. If Blizzard wants players to trust a bad luck protection system, they need to make it clearly, irrefutably visible. I'm reminded a bit of desire paths. Sometimes, carefully constructed pathways end up partially ignored while little trails of natural erosion form around them as people en masse end up deciding to take a slightly different route. Players trying to find some way, even a complicated way, to increase their chances to obtain the mounts that Blizzard wants us to just find fun because it's luck, you can get lucky, is a classic desire path. So was running the dungeon on dozens of ults a day even when that wasn't fun, because players want some guaranteed way to increase their chances. Luck will always have a role to play in a fantasy MMO like World of Warcraft, but so will the ability to apply research and effort in order to increase your luck. And the more roadblocks Blizzard tries to put in the way of people doing that, the more they will find ways around them anyway. And again, Blizzard's introduction of bad luck protection might be a perfectly well-intended attempt to address the problem, but the fact that it's not clearly visible or trackable to the player kinda means it may as well not be there at all. I do wonder a bit at the removal of the level requirement for the epic boxes, especially since that also happened during Hallows Eve, and Blizzard didn't make any changes to stop new characters from going after that mount. It's almost as if they've purposefully removed the cap on attempts. A subtle, you really want to keep trying for the stupid mount in the most mind-numbing way instead of just trusting our new system? Fine, have at it. Either way, I do feel like by the end of Lovers in the Air 2025, I will have the X45 Heartbreaker mount. Granted, I feel that every year, but this year, surely this year, it will drop for me, right? If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that good YouTube stuff. I'd also like to gently highlight my Patreon where you can support the channel directly. Finally, you can find me on Blue Sky or Twitch where I'm always happy to talk about all things lore. So while that's all for now, hopefully I'll see you again soon.